I never imagined that one seemingly ordinary request could unravel my entire life. Yet here I am, months after that fateful day, scarred but resolute, determined to share every agonizing detail of my descent into betrayal and the final, unyielding act of retribution I exacted. I had asked my wife, Mara, to be there for my best friend Daniel as he grieved the sudden loss of his father, a loss that shattered him and threatened to crumble our small, carefully constructed world. I believed that our marriage, built on years of shared hardships and tender moments, would be strong enough to support a friend in need. What I never suspected was that Mara's compassion was merely a facade masking her own secret desires and hidden betrayals. It all began on a chilly November evening when Daniel called me in tears. His father, a beacon of guidance in his life, had died unexpectedly, leaving him alone and vulnerable. I knew how much he had leaned on me over the years, so I immediately reached out to Mara. "I need you to be there for him," I had said, expecting nothing more than the kindness I had always known in her. Mara hesitated for just a moment, an expression I dismissed as uncertainty over how best to console a grieving friend. In that moment, I placed my unwavering trust in her, believing she would do right by both Daniel and me. Mara agreed, and for a few weeks, she visited Daniel, offering comfort with the gentle warmth that had always drawn people to her. I saw fleeting messages on her phone and heard laughter that I assumed was shared with him. I was proud of her empathy, admiring her ability to connect with others. Yet, beneath that veneer of compassion, a darker truth was taking root, one that would eventually devastate me. I started noticing small changes in Mara's behavior. Once punctual and reliable, she began to show signs of distraction, often disappearing for hours without explanation. When I inquired, she brushed off my concerns with vague reassurances. "I'm just busy," she'd say, her tone too light to mask the simmering tension I sensed beneath. As the weeks passed, the cracks in our marriage began to widen, but I was too blinded by my own grief and loyalty to see them for what they were, a prelude to the ultimate betrayal. One evening, unable to quell my rising unease, I decided to surprise her at the apartment where Daniel was staying for a brief recovery period. I parked a few blocks away, intending only to deliver some groceries and then return home. I remember the exact moment of revelation. A muted light spilled from the slightly ajar window, and I could hear their muffled voices. Curiosity and dread mingled in my chest as I crept closer. I pressed my eye to the glass and saw Mara, her back to me, wrapped in an embrace with a man I did not recognize. Their intimacy, the way they laughed in hushed tones, shattered the illusion I had clung to for so long. The scene unfolded in slow motion, each detail searing itself into my memory. Mara's eyes sparkled with mischief as she caressed his cheek, and he responded with an ardor that belied the casual tone she had maintained around me. In that stolen moment, I realized that the empathy I had admired in her was a mask concealing a voracious desire for something else entirely. My heart pounded with a mixture of betrayal and disbelief. I left without making a sound, my mind reeling and my soul bruised. I couldn't fathom that the woman I loved, the one who had promised to stand by my side through thick and thin, was unfaithful not only to me, but to the very values we had built our lives upon. The days that followed were a whirlwind of despair and self-recrimination. I questioned every moment, every conversation, and every seemingly insignificant gesture. How had I failed to see the signs? I ruminated over our past, the times when Mara had seemed distant, when she had brushed off my questions with a casual shrug. But each memory now felt tainted, a puzzle piece in a picture of deceit that I had been too blind to comprehend. In the midst of my inner turmoil, I discovered another painful twist. Mara had confided in a close friend that she was pregnant. At first, I was elated. Perhaps this new life would be the binding force we needed to mend our fractured bond. But joy quickly gave way to suspicion when I learned that she had arranged to have an abortion soon after her discovery. It wasn't until I stumbled upon a series of encrypted texts on her phone that the full extent of the betrayal revealed itself. The messages were explicit, laced with an intimacy and urgency that left no doubt. Mara was involved with the stranger I had seen that night, and their tryst had resulted in a pregnancy. The texts hinted at a secret rendezvous, a meeting arranged under the guise of supporting Daniel, and a decision made in haste. When I confronted her, Mara's eyes betrayed nothing but cold calculation. She admitted to everything, her voice devoid of remorse. "I never loved you the way you think. she said flatly, as if discussing an inconvenience rather than the betrayal of a lifetime. I was tired of your grief and your constant need to support everyone else. I needed something more, someone who could make me feel alive. And then, with chilling finality, she added, I had to get rid of the baby before anyone found out. In that moment, all hope for reconciliation was irrevocably lost. The woman I had once believed to be my partner, my confidant, had become a stranger, a master manipulator who cared nothing for the sanctity of our vows or the lives she'd upturned. I felt my blood boil as a sense of righteous fury took hold of me. I realized that forgiving her was not an option. My pride, my honor, and my very identity demanded retribution. I could not, would not, allow myself to be reduced to a passive victim of her duplicity. The first step in my journey toward revenge was to gather incontrovertible evidence. I meticulously documented every message, every email, every photograph that could tie Mara to her clandestine lover. I installed discreet software on her phone, not out of a desire for control, but out of a need for justice. Each new piece of evidence was like a nail in the coffin of our shared past, and I felt a perverse sense of relief with every revelation. The cold, hard truth was undeniable. Mara had betrayed me in the most unforgivable way, and I owed it to myself and to Daniel to ensure that she paid dearly for her transgressions. My revenge was not a wild, impulsive act of passion. It was a calculated, precise operation. I began by severing all ties with her, moving out of our shared home, and leaving behind a carefully curated dossier of evidence that I knew would ruin her reputation. I anonymously tipped off mutual friends and business associates, ensuring that they learned of her duplicity before she had a chance to spin the narrative in her favor. I even contacted the lawyer who had once represented her in a minor case, providing him with every scrap of proof I had collected. It was important to me that she understood the consequences of her actions. There would be no escape, no redemption. In the following weeks, the fallout was swift and brutal. Mara's social circle disintegrated as friends distanced themselves, unable to reconcile the woman they thought they knew with the cold-blooded liar who had orchestrated a web of deceit. I watched from a distance as her reputation crumbled piece by piece with each new revelation about the affair and the abortion. The final blow came when her employer, a respected figure in our community, terminated her contract after an anonymous tip provided irrefutable evidence of her misconduct. It was as if the world itself was taking its revenge on her, and I found a grim satisfaction in knowing that justice was being served. I never sought public accolades or the pity of strangers. My satisfaction came solely from the knowledge that Mara had been stripped of everything that defined her. No longer was she the alluring, compassionate woman I had once admired. Instead, she was exposed as a cunning opportunist who had betrayed the trust of the man who had once given her everything. I made sure that every whisper of scandal reached her ears. Every social event became a reminder of her downfall. The once vibrant life she had built was now a desolate wasteland of isolation and regret. There were moments in the quiet aftermath of my revenge when I felt an unexpected pang of sorrow, not for myself, but for what might have been. I recalled the early days of our courtship, when love seemed limitless and every promise was a sacred bond. But those memories were now tainted by the bitter taste of deception. I resolved that I would never let sentimentality cloud my judgment again. Mara had shown me the true face of betrayal, and I had responded in kind, unflinching, and unyielding. Forgiveness, I realized, was a luxury I could no longer afford. Daniel, too, had his own journey through grief, and though he initially suffered greatly from the loss of his father, I eventually found solace in the knowledge that I had stood by him even when my own world was crumbling. Our friendship, forged in the fires of shared sorrow, grew stronger with each passing day. He too was a victim of fate, and in our mutual suffering, we discovered a renewed sense of purpose. Together, we vowed never to let treachery go unpunished, and in our silent camaraderie, I found the strength to move forward. Now, as I sit alone in the quiet of my new apartment, the echoes of the past still whisper through the empty rooms. I realize that revenge is a double-edged sword. It has healed some wounds while inflicting new ones, but it has also freed me from the chains of betrayal. I am not a victim. I am a man who reclaimed his life, piece by piece, and who transformed pain into power. I have learned that when someone you love betrays you, forgiveness is not an option. Only the calculated satisfaction of watching them suffer the consequences can restore your dignity. I share this story not for the sympathy of strangers, but as a cautionary tale. A reminder that trust is a fragile commodity, easily shattered by those who seek only to exploit it. I want those who have been deceived to know that retribution, however cold and unyielding, is sometimes the only path to healing. Mara may have believed she could escape her past with a single, calculated move, but she underestimated the depths of my resolve. In the end, her actions not only ruined her life, but also set me on a course of redemption that I had never imagined. Every day, as I rebuild the shattered remnants of my identity, I remember the price of betrayal and the importance of vigilance. I have learned that true strength lies not in the act of forgiveness, but in the courage to confront injustice head-on, even when it comes from the very person you once held dear. I stand as a testament to the fact that when you are wronged, you have every right to demand accountability, no matter how painful the truth may be. And so, with a heart hardened by betrayal and eyes that no longer see illusions, I move forward, leaving behind a past that will forever serve as a reminder. Some wounds never truly heal, but they can be transformed into the raw, unyielding fuel that propels you toward a future where you are the master of your destiny. Looking back now, I know that the path I chose was not one paved with easy redemption or fleeting comfort. It was a journey into the darkest recesses of my soul, where every step was marked by the bitter tang of betrayal and the cold, unforgiving resolve of retribution. Yet, in that crucible of pain, I emerged not as a broken man, but as someone who had reclaimed his power. I realized that true closure is not found in the arms of forgiveness, but in the unwavering certainty that those who betray your trust will one day face the consequences of their actions. This is my truth, a truth that burns with the intensity of 1,000 unspoken regrets and unyielding resolve. Mara's betrayal may have shattered the foundation of our lives, but it also forced me to confront the harsh reality of who I truly am. I am a man scorned, yes, but also a man who refused to be defined by the treachery of another. In the ruins of what was once a cherished life, I have built something new, a future forged in the fires of retribution, where justice is not a wish but a certainty. And though the scars of betrayal will remain with me forever, they serve as a constant reminder that I chose to fight back, and that in the end, I was the one who emerged victorious. Every time I hear the whispered rumors of Mara's downfall, I feel a cold satisfaction ripple through me. I have no regrets, only the steadfast conviction that I did what was necessary. The lessons learned from that fateful night have become the pillars upon which I now stand, unyielding in the face of deceit and unrepentant in my quest for justice. For anyone who dares to betray the trust of those who love you, know this: retribution may be slow, but it is inevitable. I stand as living proof that betrayal is a debt that must always be repaid in full. And so, as I close this chapter of my life, I do so with no trace of forgiveness, only the unwavering belief that true strength comes from the courage to confront the darkness, to turn the pain of betrayal into a blazing force of justice. My story is not one of redemption through forgiveness, but one of liberation through retribution. A reminder that sometimes the only way to reclaim your soul is to watch your betrayer crumble beneath the weight of their own sins. I now live each day with the satisfaction of knowing that I have reclaimed my life, that the ghosts of betrayal no longer haunt me, and that the justice I sought has been served. Mara's choices have cost her everything, and in that loss, I found the power to rebuild a life that is truly my own. A life defined not by sorrow or regret, but by the unyielding determination to never be a victim again. I share this tale as both a catharsis and a warning. Let it serve as a reminder that when trust is broken, forgiveness is not a mandate. Sometimes, the only way to honor your own worth is to ensure that those who wrong you are forced to confront the consequences of their actions. This is my story, a story of betrayal, of loss, and ultimately, of a revenge so complete that it left no room for remorse. I will carry these scars forever, but I will also carry the knowledge that I chose to stand up and reclaim my destiny, no matter how painful the journey. There are no fairy tale endings here, no miraculous moments of reconciliation. There is only the raw, unfiltered truth of a man betrayed and the resolute fire of a soul that refused to be diminished by deceit. As I look ahead to a future built on the ashes of a life once shared, I am filled not with regret, but with a profound sense of liberation. I am free from the chains of a past marred by infidelity and cowardice, and I stand ready to face whatever may come with eyes unclouded by false hope or misguided forgiveness. I am and always will be a man who chose retribution over resignation, a man who learned that in the wake of betrayal, the only path to redemption is the unyielding pursuit of justice. And so, with every breath I take and every step I make, I move forward as a testament to the truth that betrayal never goes unpunished. I am not defined by the lies and deceptions of another, but by my own unwavering commitment to honor, truth, and the relentless pursuit of a life that is truly mine. My past is a constant reminder of the price of trust, and my present a living declaration that I will never again allow myself to be the victim of false promises. This is my legacy, a legacy carved out of pain, hardened by betrayal, and ultimately redeemed by the uncompromising will to rise above it all. Every shattered piece of my former life has been transformed into the foundation of a future where I am the master of my fate. I share this not to glorify revenge, but to illuminate the bitter truth that sometimes, in the wake of betrayal, the only way to reclaim your dignity is to ensure that those who wrong you are forced to bear the full burden of their treachery. I have no illusions of forgiveness, for forgiveness would only diminish the gravity of the betrayal I endured. Instead, I embrace the fierce satisfaction of knowing that justice, however cold and unyielding, was ultimately served. In the quiet moments before sleep, when the ghosts of the past try to seep back into my thoughts, I remind myself that I chose to fight back. I chose to be relentless in the pursuit of justice, and in doing so, I reclaimed my identity. The path I walked was steeped in pain and regret, yet it forged in me a strength that can never be taken away. I am forever changed, forever vigilant, and forever free. My story is complete, a saga of love betrayed, of a heart shattered beyond repair, and of a final, unyielding act of revenge that left no room for forgiveness. I have turned my darkest hour into the catalyst for a new beginning, a testament to the truth that when you are wronged, you have every right to demand justice without compromise. This is the legacy I now carry, a legacy of unflinching resolve and the unbreakable determination to never allow betrayal to define me again. There is no redemption for Mara in my story, only the cold, harsh reality of a life built on deception and the inevitable collapse of a world that was never truly built on trust. I have moved beyond the confines of our shattered past and stand as a living reminder that when betrayal comes calling, only one outcome is possible. A fate so bitterly deserved that it erases every illusion of a once cherished love. And that is the truth I now live by every single day. I share this story with the hope that it serves as a beacon to those who have been wronged, a stark reminder that in the face of betrayal, the only acceptable path is one of unyielding justice, a path that demands no forgiveness, only the satisfaction of knowing that you reclaimed every piece of your shattered soul. This is my life, and this is my truth.